welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about choosing an e-bike. It can be overwhelming when it comes to choosing which e-bike to buy. There's so many choices out there. As I say, it can be overwhelming, so there's some factors you got to look at when purchasing an e-bike. The first thing I would look at is what you're going to do with the bike. What are you using it for? Like, is it for commuting back and forth to work? Is it for pleasure riding? Is it for trail riding? So that's the first thing you want to figure out, what you're going to do with your bike when you get it, how you're going to ride it. Then you got to factor in, after you do that, if you're going to be on the road like I am right now, maybe you want a bike that goes a little bit faster. Do you want one that's more pedal friendly, or are you going to use the throttle more, or a little bit of both? I like doing both. Right now I'm just pedaling in pedal assist 1 on the Grizzly. But there's so many different bikes out there to choose from. What style you want. Do you want to step through? The bike I'm on now, the Grizzly, you have to be of a certain height. You can't be too tall or too short. I guess you can be a little bit taller because you can buy a longer seat and change the seat out, but if you're short and you want to lower the seat, you can't do that on this particular bike. So you want to look at that factor when you purchase a bike, what seat height you're going to have. Just let these cars go. Looks like we have construction ahead. I'm going to throttle just to get through the intersection there. So once you figure out what you're going to do with your bike when you get it, you want to get one that's a good height for you. The recommendation is always to be able to have your feet flat on the ground. And on this bike, that's me. My feet are flat on the ground when I'm sitting on the Grizzly. I think as long as your toes touch the ground, so you have some kind of control, because you don't want to have to lean to the left or to the right. So I think as long as your toes can reach the ground and you have some kind of control there, then I think you're fine. Then after that, you're going to choose what style of bike you want. Do you want a commuter style? Do you want a scrambler like this one, more like a moped style? And the weight of the bike too. This bike is a little bit heavier because it has 2 motors and 2 batteries, so the weight of this one is 105 pounds, whereas the other bike I have, the Ariel, or the Rad Rover, it's 68 pounds. So a big difference when I'm swinging that bike around compared to this one. And you can really feel that difference in the weight. Another factor might be you may want a folding bike. So you can just stick it in the trunk of your car, basically. This bike here, you need a bike rack on your car to do that. You can't just fold this one up and away you go. Also, where you live, is there a lot of hills? If there's a lot of hills, you might want a more powerful motor. I think most bikes, if you're going to spend, let's say, $1,000 to $2,000 if you don't want to spend a lot of money. Most of those bikes are going to get you probably a 500 watt motor, I'm thinking, possibly as low as 350, but I think I'd spend a little bit more, maybe $2,000, and get, if you can, a 750 watt motor might be better. Personally, that's what I would choose. That's why I chose the Grizzly here, because it has two 1,000 watt motors, and that's what I wanted to be able to climb hills. So it gets you up to hills pretty easily. The next thing you want to look at is battery. How big of a battery? That'll go kind of hand in hand with the price you pay, because the battery is probably at least 40% of the price of your bike, almost 50%. A lot of your value in the bike is in the battery. So that's where you're going to pay more if you want a larger size battery. And of course the battery, the bigger the battery, the longer the life you have of riding without worrying with anxiety over how far I'm going to go on a charge. So this bike here, get up this hill. This bike here has a 2,000 watt motors and two batteries that are 20 and 15 amp hours. So wait till this traffic goes. One more car. If you're going to spend, let's say, $2,000, you're probably going to get a 750 watt motor and 14 or 15 amp hour battery, I would assume, and a 48 volt. That's probably what you're going to get for that much money. So if you don't want to spend that much, then you're going to get something a little bit less. You're probably going to get a 500 watt motor and maybe a 10 or 12 amp hour battery. Kind of like what the electric XP 2.0, I believe it's a 500 watt motor and a 9.6 amp hour battery, I believe, for $1,000. Next thing you'd want to look at too is, do you want fat tires? I like the fat tires personally, but I just like the nice comfortable ride that the fat tires give you. Hard deciding what you want when you can't just go into a store like you can, say, to buy food or clothing or something, and you can see what you're buying. Most of the bikes that you buy are probably going to be bought online, and you don't get to really walk into a store and see what you're buying. When I bought my first bike, I didn't really know what to pick. There wasn't as many choices as there is now, and I just went for one that had a good reputation, the company, which was Rad Power Bikes. And I did research, watched YouTube videos, reading and hearing reviews, and that's how I came up with the Rad Rover. After everything else though, if you pick out what size battery you want and what size motor you want and what style of bike you want, then I would go for what one looks good, because you want one that looks good to you too. You know, you don't just want any old bike. If you're going to spend that money on a bike, you want one that's an attraction for you. Like color, just overall style or look. The Grizzly here was very impressive. Looks were one of the things that sold me on buying it. Looks, the two batteries and the two motors were the big thing for me. I like this style of bike too. More like a mini bike or that style. I'd like to know what everyone else is riding. If you've got a bike or you're deciding on a bike, which one you're thinking about buying or which one you'd like to buy. Leave that in the comments below. Curious as to what other people like and maybe what they're riding already. Another thing I didn't mention is also cargo weight. You might want a bike that can carry more weight, depending on what you're going to do with it. Some people make deliveries with their bike and such. I was looking this morning at the Aventon. A friend of mine has an Aventon Adventure bike, and I was looking it up, and the capacity, load capacity, is 400 pounds on that one. It is a beefy looking bike. I've seen it, and it looks very beefy. I'd like to be able to, every single day, take out a new electric bike and give it a try. A new bike every day. Test it out. Because that's the only way you get a true test, is to try it yourself and compare it to the other ones you've ridden. That's the only way you can really test it out. I mean, we can all hear and watch reviews on bikes, but until you get one yourself and get the feel for it, then you don't really know for sure. We need a store that has like about 50 different bikes to choose from, and then you get to test drive them all. Then you can really give it a, you know, you can decide, okay, I've tried these, that one and that one, it's down to those two, you know, and then make your choice. Kind kind of hard when you buy it online though, and you have to choose which bike. I mean, all you can rely on is basically everyone, if you can do any research on reviews and just go on someone's word, you know, and watch them and how the bike performs for them on their review and make your choice. One thing that's for sure is you're not going to go wrong choosing an e-bike. It's the way to go. No question. If you've never ridden one and you decide to buy one, you're going to absolutely love it. They're very addicting. Once you ride one, you want to ride it again and again and again. And I've said this before, but you can sure cover a lot of ground on an electric bike and you don't even break a sweat. All this time I'm riding here, I've been riding in pedal assist 1. I can't go there. I don't want to go there. So, and pedal assist 1 on the Grizzly is easy pedaling, and it gets you right now 15 miles per hour, 14.8. Easy peasy. I know a lot of people would just say, hey, you're on the Grizzly, why are you pedaling? That's a throttle bike. That's true. It is a throttle bike. But you can do both. I'm just proving that you can do both. Seems like lately there's hardly a day goes by where I don't get emails on new bikes that have come out, you know, different ones. There's so many of them. It's incredible. Some of them I've heard of, the company, and a lot of times I haven't. I'm thinking, oh, okay, I wonder what this is, or who this is. I wonder what these bikes are like. Sometimes it's hard to find a review even on them because they're so new and nobody's done one yet. If I was going to buy a new bike tomorrow, I'll tell you which bike I would choose. This is assuming money is no object, which money is an object for everybody, but let's just say I have a budget of $3,600 because that's how much it's gonna cost me to buy the bike I want to get. So the bike I want to get is called Lyrics Graffiti, and it's sold by Lyric Cycles, and they're out of Canada. And the bike is $3,100 US. I think it's around almost 4,000 Canadian. And you can get an extra battery for $500 more. So I'd want the extra battery, second battery. And the bike is a 2,500 watt rear hub motor, and it peaks at 4,700 watts. It has 2 batteries, and I believe each battery is 17.5 amp hour. It's a 52 volt. And the speed, now they're doing the speed off of a 250 pound rider. I think it was 250 pound rider, or 250, something like that. Pretty heavy guy anyway. And I believe the top speed is 40 miles per hour. So if you're a little lighter than that, you might get a little bit more. That's pretty good speed. And it's similar to this bike in looks. It's this style, this scrambler style. And it comes in 2 colors, black or white. You can check them out at Lyric Cycles. Just look for Lyric Cycles. And I think that's the bike I would choose to get next. I almost think, and I've said this before, you need really 2 bikes. Because you need one that's your road warrior, which is, for me, this one, and one that's your pedal bike, which for me is the Rad Rover. So really, what's wrong with having 2 bikes, right? One's your speed demon, and the other one's your pedal king. Well, that's going to do it for another video here on the channel, and hopefully you have good luck in finding your bike if you don't already have one. And if you do have one, or you're thinking about buying one, let me know what you're looking for. And I'd be curious to know what people are riding or wanting to ride. And once again, thanks for joining me on the channel, and I look forward to riding with you again next time. And until then, take care.